Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's council meeting for Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025. We'll start with the opening affirmation and acknowledgement of country. Thanks. All stand. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom, and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all. Acknowledgement of country. We would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community. Thank you. Recording and webcasting of the meeting. This council meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting, that you're respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. An audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Conflict of interest declarations, I've received none. Mr. Zachnich?
Thank you, Mayor Mack. None received. In relation to disclosure of political donations and requirements of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, the Act under Section 10.4 requires a person submitting a planning application or submission regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donation and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of the council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. In dealing with development applications, councillors need to take into account specific planning matters contained in the Act. Accordingly, the provisions of Section 4.151 of that Act are set out in the Council Officer's report detailing planning issues to be considered. The Local Government Act Section 375A requires that a division be called whenever a motion for a planning decision is put at a meeting of the Council. Planning decision means a decision made in the exercise of a function of council under the Act, including a decision relating to a development application, an environmental planning instrument, a development control plan or a development contribution plan under that Act, but not including the making of an order under Division 9.3 of Part 9 of that Act. Thank you, Mayor Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Zachnich. Apologies. Thanks, councillors. Councillor King.
I move that Council receive, note and accept the apology of Councillor Cameron and grant leave of absence for the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Baker.
Second the motion, Mayor Mack.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. We've got the attendance by councillors at meeting by audio visual link. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I move that Council receive, note and accept the attendance of Councillors Callaghan and Councillor Glacken via audio-visual link for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. Happy to welcome Councillor Callaghan and Councillor Glacken to the meeting. Okay. We have a Merrill Minute tonight and it's not on the agenda, but I did forward it out to all councillors this morning. And the Merrill Minute is the submission, review of environmental factors, the proposed Albury-Wodonga Regional Hospital Development, North East Building, 201 Barella Road, East Albury. On the 6th of June 2025, Council lodged submission to the review of environmental factors, brackets REF, process for the project identified as the early work stage of the subject project. Council's key concerns with the proposal can be summarised as follows. Single site hospital. Special Commissioner inquiry into healthcare funding identifies an urgent need to address current and future healthcare service needs with a long-term planning horizon, minimum of 20 years. Point 2, council and community, including clinical workforce, continue to raise concerns, including budgetary constraints, bed shortages, ICU capacity, and downgrading or removal of crucial clinical features from those recommended in the Clinical Services Plan of 2021. Point 3, water and wastewater utilities. Clarification required how this proposed development fits within the total expected water and sewer loads the final single site hospital redevelopment. Point 4, access and significant car parking shortfalls, both historic and proposed as part of the Albury Base Hospital Master Plan and the proposed northeast building. Point 5, traffic impact assessments validation, including impacts on on-street parking in the precinct, the number of car spaces to be removed and replaced, and accessibility and location of proposed temporary car parking. Point 6, urban design outcome to be met in the final design of the building as they relate to building colours and quality of external materials. Point 7, inadequacy of the draft construction management planning as it relates to construction timeframe, public notification, public safety, site deliveries, designated areas for waste and material storage, and construction worker parking arrangements. Point 8, managing construction impacts are essential to enable the function and operation of the existing hospital site, Regional Cancer Centre, Hilltops accommodation and surrounding precinct to continue with minimal impact. And the last point, car parking is a significant council and community concern. And without meaningful action and additional car parking provision on site, the proposal will continue to create substantial amenity, pedestrian and traffic safety concerns for the locality and operations of the existing hospital. I formally table this submission for council endorsement. The motion is that council receive and endorse the submission, review of environmental factors, proposed Albury-Wodonga Regional Hospital redevelopment, North East Building, 201 Barella Road, Albury, East Albury. Thank you, councillors. Open for any questions or any debate. No? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'll speak in support of your mayoral minute. It's very clear to everybody who's paying attention to this project that what's being proposed is simply not good enough for our community. While the construction of the new Northeast building would obviously not be it can go ahead and there would still be opportunity to develop a new hospital on a new site. And the new Northeast building could, I'm sure, be accommodated into the current service. That's only because we know that the deficits that exist at the current site are so great. There's some really serious questions around the impact on parking and therefore the amenity of the residents in East Albury and access to the site, which I don't think have been adequately addressed. And I think that there's real concerns and around really the quality of the information that's been provided to us around those impacts, because I think the reality on the ground doesn't necessarily reflect what's in the documents that have been provided by the state government. So I think council have been quite diligent in creating a response to the REF, and yes, I support the minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Are there any other speakers for or against or questions? No? Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we're up to action plans 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 and 6.4. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bullman.
I move the recommendation that the following action plans be received and noted. 1, action plan, actions complete and or noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress, and 4, long-term issues more than 3 months.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bullman, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
There appears to be no questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Confirmation minutes from the previous meeting held on May 26 at 6 p.m. Councillors, thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
I move the recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on Monday, 26 May 2025 at 6:08 p.m. be confirmed.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. There appears to be no question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We have no reports from community forums. We have no notices of motion or rescission, no presentations and deputations. Reports and minutes of committees and working parties. We have the minutes of the Local Traffic Safety Committee meeting held on Thursday, the 8th of May, 2025. Councillor Bukowski.
I move the recommendation that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the local traffic committee meeting held on Thursday, 8 May 2025.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, I have a question from Councillor King. Happy to take the question.
Through you, Mayor Mac, to the most relevant member of staff. I note in the local traffic committee minutes, item 3.1, it talks about speed zone review engagement findings. There seems to be a representative from Transport for New South Wales sort of commenting in relation to that. Am I able to get any elaboration of that discussion at all and the feedback?
Councillor Bukowski. Oh, Mr. Lawson. Welcome back. Mr. Lawson.
Unfortunately, I attended that meeting, so I made the question.
Councillor Bukowski, can you enlighten the group on that particular question?
So are you referencing Mr. Goodyears?
What do you think it is?
Yes.
Line in there emphasising that receiving and noting this report does not automatically result in them commencing a speed zone review. So just wondering if there was any further discussion on that you think councillors might appreciate hearing. That's all.
Mr. Goodyear was very clear that at this point there is no appetite for any speed zone reviews to be undertaken. Obviously, there needs to be a precipitating event such as motor vehicle accidents or fatalities for Transport for New South Wales to step in, or near misses for them to step in. So that's really the quantum of what he is able to look at.
Thank you. Just any more questions or debate? Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to open debate on that item?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Just one question, probably is for Mr. Lawson in relation to comments into Alma Street, the traffic calming initiatives for the Ripple strips. It appears to be that there is an issue with the resourcing and timing. Have we got a timeline on when they will be installed at all?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Again, I don't have a timeline off the top of my head. It would be in the minutes of the last meeting. However, I can take that on notice and provide that to council.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, did you get any enlightenment on that the other day?
No. So I did ask the question and the response was that they would get back to us in terms of timeframes, and that was all that was disclosed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, councillor. I'm happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone? Oh, there's a question from councillor Glacken before I take the motion. Councillor Glacken, sorry.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Mr. Lawson just responded that the timing would be in the minutes. I can't see it in the minutes. Which minutes is Mr. Lawson referring to?
Mr. Lawson, I believe you said previous minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Apologies. As I said, I wasn't in attendance at the meeting. I'd assumed that if it was discussed at the meeting, there would have been a indicative timeline provided, but I can take that on notice and provide that to council.
Thank you. Email to all council.
Yep.
Councillor Glacken. Thank you. Okay, I put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we have no documents for sealing. CM13 officers reports for consideration. 13.1 development application 10.2021.387222.1 91 lot residential subdivision. 2 drainage reserve lots. 1 open space and vegetation removal. Woolshed Estate, stage 6, Kerr Road, Thurgoona. Thank you, councillors. Any takers for this one? Councillor King.
I move that Council A receives the contents of this report and B grants consent to develop an application 10.2021.38722.1 for a 91 lot subdivision and associated works on land described as Lot 1 DP 1004069 and Lot 443 DP 1276799, formerly Lot 18 DP 1057228, situated at 87 Kerr Road and 125 Kerr Road, Thurgoona, subject to the conditions contained in the draft determination included at attachment 6 to this report.
Thank you, councillor King. Seconded, councillor Bulvin.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. I have a question, councillor King. Are you happy to take it?
Happy to take the question.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, question?
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. I note that there's a fairly significant copse of about 60 or so Blakely's red gums, which are adjacent to the C3 land on the northern border of the site, which are principally located on lot 6, or proposed lot 627, although it does spread into the surrounding lots as well. Was there any consideration or effort made to retain that copse of trees?
Mr. Christie.
Sorry, thank you for the question, and for you, Mayor Mac. Yes, there was. It was popped back to the applicant around opportunities to retain vegetation on the site. You may recall reading through the report, the original application came in 2021. So council had provided a further information request asking for consideration of retention of additional vegetation on site. There were some which were identified, which is, for example, the 3 hollow bearing trees that are proposed in the reserve. But from the applicants' end, they believe they could not retain the Blakeleys that you just mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor King, do you wish to open debate on that item?
Thank you. Noting that there is a good variation of residential lot sizes, which is something that our community has clearly been saying that they want that diversity. So I certainly note that to support the diverse housing types that we know that we're looking to achieve. Also noting that the site proposes quite a significant amount of public open space proposed within stage 6. It actually appears to be in addition to the requirements of the structure plan. So just making that as an observation. What else did I want to say? And just, you know, the conditions that have been put on, the recommendations to ensure that the public open space is fit for purpose and will effectively support active recreation use. So just wanted to make those highlights because I think there's been criticisms in the past that some developments haven't had enough open space. So my looking at what's been put forward with the great work of our team to ensure the applicant comes back and looks at addressing some of these issues, that would appear to be, as they've termed, an acceptable outcome. So just highlighting some of those issues.
Thank you. I have a speaker against. Councillor Hudson, another speaker for. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. It would appear that the developer has addressed many of the concerns raised in the original 2021 application. Although I will say, in my view, I think that proposal set a pretty low bar in terms of the quality of subdivision applications that we get. I do have really significant concerns around the removal of numerous hollow bearing trees on the site, acknowledging that some have been retained. But I mean, frankly, an awful lot of time and effort has gone into to finding out where our hollow bearing trees are in our LGA, because they are so critically important for biodiversity and for habitat protection. And we have some really significant endangered species in this LGA, like the squirrel gliders. And that the copse of trees, the Blakely's red gums that I mentioned in my question, it's one lot really. One lot difference would have saved an awful lot of trees, and I don't think that's an acceptable outcome. I acknowledge that there's been a reduction in lot numbers from about 150 to 91, I understand. I think one fewer lot for the protection of an awful lot of native trees is probably worth it, particularly when I mean, I think that the site probably could have accommodated that one additional lot somewhere else. So I actually, I'd like to move an amendment, if I may. That would help me support this application. And so my amendment would be that in B, we grant consent to the development application as written, with the removal of lot 627 in order to retain a significant number of those trees.
Okay, do we have that ready to go? We'll need to include that, just a moment.
Yeah, there's an awful lot. I mean, some of them are in the tree in the road reserve and some of them.
So Hudson, you happy with that amendment as it stands, or is that in the right space?
Yes, I suppose it would make it a 90 lot subdivision, not a 91 lot subdivision.
90 lot subdivision, so should that say report including the removal of lot 6 and with the removal? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I would accept the advice of the staff on whether
No worries.
that's
Just get the 91 changed to 90 and proceed. There you go. You comfortable with that, councillor Hudson?
Yes, thank you.
That's the amendment. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second the amendment.
Thank you. Got a question before we progress. You happy with that, councillor Hudson? Two
Yep.
questions.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor King, you've been very patient.
Oh, no. Thank you. To the most relevant member of staff, just in terms of the removal of lot 627, any description in terms of the quality of those trees, and also can you see any unintended consequences with the removal of that lot from this subdivision?
Mr. Christie, thank you.
Thanks for the question and for you, Mayor Mack. Without diving straight into the detailed test of significance to find the individual trees, the test of significance indicated there weren't going to be any significant environmental impacts as a result of the vegetation removal. But I would have to dive into the test of significance that was associated with it to get you some more clear detail if you're looking at whether they're rated as fair, poor condition, good condition, height, etc. So I would just have to take a moment to get that information out. Regards to the implications of the motion, which I believe was the second point of your question, council has the right, and council has done this once or twice in the past where we requested changes to a lot. So one of those, for example, was with 710 Riverina Highway, where we did request a retention of a number of trees. I believe it was about a dozen trees at the front, and got those incorporated into a reserve to be dedicated to council, which I would take as the intent of this, that it wouldn't be popped into someone's backyard. It would actually be in a reserve to be dedicated to council for the retention of that vegetation. In regards to whether it's stated a 90 or 91 lot subdivision, council's asked for the removal and retaining of the native trees. They still might have been able to slightly amend the subdivision and still come out with their 91 lot, but also council obviously within its rights to say that we want that lot preserved and therefore just the 90 lot subdivision is approved.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Christie. You have a follow-up?
No.
All good. Councillor Bukowski, question?
Thank you, Mayor Mack, through you to the most relevant member of staff. Just to elaborate further on Councillor King's question, if the decision falls that lot 627 is removed, will there be any cost implications to council, and if so, how much? And also, what other impacts will this have on the development in terms of like pushing back start dates and things like that?
Mr. Christie.
Thank you for the question. And for you, Mayor Mack, in regards to cost implications for council, would only be if they decided to appeal the matter to the Land Environment Court, then there would be cost implications associated with that. Council's, as I said before, my response is within its rights to look at the application as submitted, and approval of a 90 or 91 lot subdivision, whichever way, and end up with consideration that it was submitted as a 91 lot subdivision is still in essence approving the same application that was presented before council. So in regards to cost, in regards to delay for the process, we would likely incorporate this condition. We've just requested an amended set of plans to come in prior to the issue of the next stage, which is a subdivision work certificate. I wouldn't see that would be a substantial change if it was just deletion of the lot. If they decided to redesign accordingly, then that might have some delays, but if it was just deletion of the lot, I wouldn't see it be a substantial delay in their application.
Comfortable?
Follow-up question?
Yeah.
To the best of your knowledge, Mr. Christie, has anyone appealed to the Land Environment Court based around these types of circumstances of removal of one lot before?
Mr. Christie.
Thank you for the question, and for you, Mayor Mack, not in relation to just deletion of one lot. Obviously, there are a number of appeals in the Land of Environment Court. Normally, they are around refusals of council, not around conditions, which may amend, but I'm not aware of anyone just around deletion of one lot from a 91 or similar size subdivision.
Thank you. No further questions? Happy to open debate on the amendment. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to open debate on your amendment? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mack. Look, I think this would be a good outcome because I think that this would improve the subdivision. The lot in question is immediately adjacent to an existing retention basin, and it's also immediately adjacent to C3 zoned land. I think ultimately, from a biodiversity perspective, one tree here or there doesn't make a great deal of difference, but a copse of dozens of trees certainly does, and has really significant value for biodiversity and for native wildlife, regardless of whether or not they've passed any test of significance or not. Ultimately, I think what I'm getting at here is we're seeing development occur in Thurgoona that's amounting to a death by 1,000 cuts. If we remove a few trees here or there at any given moment, it doesn't sound like a great deal. But in its totality, when we approve subdivisions over and over and over again, where we've just removed a handful of trees here and there, the gestalt is that we've removed hundreds and hundreds of trees. And so I think that removing one lot in order to save dozens of native red gums would be a good outcome. And I would encourage my councillors to support this amended motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Another speaker against, Councillor Glacken, and a couple of speakers for. Thank you for the amendment. Thanks, Councillor Glacken.
Yes, I speak against this amendment because I believe the original plan as submitted, or the plan in our reports tonight, is appropriate. I think the addition of the requirement to add the link road was appropriate, that would be completed prior to the development. They have retained a significant amount of land between stages 6 and existing developments, and the future additional future planned development to the north side of the creek still enables an enormous number of trees, a significant number of trees to be retained. Had the developer believed, and it's evidenced by the fact that they have retained a larger than necessary or required area of land for public space, had that block 627 been appropriate, had the trees been appropriate to retain, because it is beside the retarding basin, then the developer would have retained that set of trees. As Mr. Christie has confirmed to us, the trees do not pass the test of significance to be retained. And so it is appropriate that we allow this developer to undertake the work that we so desperately need. We do need more housing, as has been explained or promoted by one of the previous speakers when speaking for the original motion. The development allows for various sized blocks, which is appropriate. We need to ensure that people can find affordable housing in and around our city. This development is a fantastic development, has good, already better than we require public open space. It will be a really good development, and I do not believe that we should be asking this developer to remove further land from their developable envelope. Thank you very much. I cannot support this.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. Two speakers for, Councillor Callaghan, speaking for the amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac. I am speaking for the amendment. Clearly, a lot of work and collaboration has gone on between Albury City Council and the proponent. I was privy to the previous allotments that were going to be there, and I'd like to say I'm really pleased that there has been reduced lots and increased open spaces. I do believe the amendment made by Councillor Hudson further enhances the work that's already been done. And as Councillor Hudson highlighted, lot 627 is right next to the retention basin, adjacent to the C3 zoned land. And my observation over the past 3.5 years is that the councillors have increased their expectations of what we expect of developers. And as quoted by you, Mayor Mac, we don't want to see a Western Sydney in Thurgoona, and keeping this parcel of land being one lot, I don't think it's too substantial to go from 91 to 90, does not only provide a good development, it will enhance it and make it an excellent development. So I absolutely support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Another speaker for? No? I thought there were two. Councillor King, that's right. There you go. I knew there was another one.
As the original mover of the motion, I would be happy to accept Councillor Hudson's amendment, and I actually thank him for drawing attention to lot 627. It does seem a condensed cluster of trees, so I can see the value from some of the points that he's raised of excluding that particular lot from the subdivision. I think he raises quite a good point that a tree here, a tree there over time can make a big difference. And I think where there is an opportunity to retain several trees on one particular lot without compromising the overall intent of the developer, I think is something worth considering for councillors. I may have appreciated a little more time to dive a little deeper into the test of significance documents that came with that particular lot. But notwithstanding that, I am happy to certainly support the amendment and make it part of the motion. And yeah, a good compromise, I think.
Councillor King, thank you. Councillor Baker, question.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. This relates to the procedure on this one. Is it possible to decide on the amendment without adding that to the motion? Because it's a development application. It will colour the way I think about the original motion.
No, the amendment is as it stands at the moment. We'll vote on the amendment. If the amendment is successful, this becomes the motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers for or against? Question from Councillor Glacken. Councillor Glacken, question?
Yes, thank you. I'm wondering, noting one of the earlier answers from the staff, I believe was Mr. Christie, with reference to whether or not the lots would remain as 90 or 91, and also whether or not on occasion developers will remodel their plans to incorporate the retention of the trees within a lot. Can I ask, is it possible for us to be able to amend this motion slightly further? And I'm not sure what the wording would be, but it would be with a view to the developer determining whether or not they would retain 627 as a separate block that would become open space, or whether or not they would include that block and merge it into the development so that they would still have 90 lots, but they would reconfigure that end of the development. It may well be that they could incorporate those trees into some of the lots, and that may be an advantage to the developer, but not necessarily a disadvantage to council, the community, or indeed those trees.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. Councillor Mr. Christie.
Thank you for the question and for you, Mayor Mack. And my interpretation of the question was whether the developer would respond to this via losing the lot, so to speak, as I answered before, as a 90-lot subdivision, or whether they would look at reconfiguring it and still keeping it as a 91-lot subdivision. If that's the premise of the question, sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, I think
yes, for clarification. For clarification, whether or not the developer wanted to retain, have a 91 or a 90 lot division, based on whether or not they were able to incorporate those trees within some of those lots. So reconfigure the bottom area, in essence, retaining the trees, but to their advantage as the developer, and not having an open lot space on the end of a road. And it's sort of like it's down the end opposite, would be divided from the retention space. So I'm not sure whether or not that was possible for the developer to be able to utilise that space.
Thanks, councillor Glacken.
Thanks, councillor Glacken. Mr. Zaknich, did you want to?
Yeah, look, we're not in the business of designing the development for the developer. Council will need to make a determination on its actual decision for this evening. Then the developer would be advised and make their, own assessment or changes back to our planning team for endorsement. If that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaknich. Mr. Christie, just one question from me before we go to another question. In relation to 627 and 628, looking at the overheads and looking at where these trees are, it would appear they're more inclined to be on 628 than 627. Is there any comment on that?
Thanks for the question, and for you, Mayor Mack, and I've just put up page 125 of the SCE, which is the zoom in on the assessment report.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is a fair jumble of numbers showing for the indication of the trees, but just looking at it, they're spread across 627, which out of that overall cost of trees on the northern side of the road, probably about 2/3 of the ones on that northern side of proposed road are on 627, about a third roughly are on the adjacent block, being 628. There are some that are in the road, and then some proposed on the two blocks to the south as well.
Yeah, in the report it says 628 at the 56 trees. That's all. That's where the confusion. The table in the report mentions 628, not 627.
Yep.
That's where I'm sort of taking that question.
Yep.
So it is 627, just to clarify.
That's
fine.
correct.
Question from Councillor Callaghan.
I'd like to put the motion.
Move to put the motion.
Yes,
We've got a
please.
seconder for that? Seconder? Motion? Doesn't appear to be a seconder, Councillor Callaghan, at this point. I think it's nearly ready to be put anyway. Any further question or debate? The amendment, Councillor Hudson, do you wish to close debate on the amendment?
Thank you. Just briefly, 627 is right on the edge of the development. Obviously, I wouldn't have suggested removing lots that were along a street, for example. That seems not very sensible at all. But given the location of 627, it's right on the edge. It's adjacent to the retarding basin and the environmental land. It seems like a fairly minor overall change. And yeah, but I thank councillors for their questions and their debate.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Happy to put the amendment. Those for the amendment? Those against the amendment? The amendment is lost. The motion becomes the original motion, which is Councillor King's motion. Did you wish to close debate on that, Councillor King?
No, happy to put the motion.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion as a division. All those in favour? Councillor Bakers, Councillor Bullman, Councillor Bukowski, Councillor Mack, Councillor King, Councillor Glacken and Councillor Callaghan. Those against, Councillor Hudson. Thank you, councillors. The motion is carried. CM 13.2 Development Application 10.2025.41325.1 Dual Occupancy Development, 1 dwelling, garage and 3 lot community title subdivision at 27 Croft Street, Willinga. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King, did you wish to speak to this? Open. Move that thing.
I think you still had me on from before, but that's quite fine. I'm more than happy to move that council A, receives the contents of this report, and B, grants consent to development application 10.2025.41325.14A dual occupancy development, 1 dwelling, garage and 3 lot community title subdivision at lot 308 DP 1289-809, known as 27 Croft Street, Willinga, subject to the conditions contained in the draft determination included at attachment 5 to this report.
Excellent. Councillor Bullman.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mack.
Councillor King, did you wish to open debate?
I'll reserve my right while I find up the right section on my agenda.
You, any speakers for or against this motion? Thank you, councillors. Doesn't appear to be. Now we've got a speaker for Councillor Glacken. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this is an opportunity for our community to be providing a development, a small development, yes, but it provides another house. It provides also future opportunities for other people should they wish to have infill. Our community is growing. We do need more houses. Not everybody wants to live on a large lot. Some people do want to live on a small lot, and this provides that mix of housing into the future. So I do support this. If people don't want to live in on a smaller lot, they won't buy this lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. Any further speakers or questions? Councillor Kendi, do you wish to close debate?
Really just to identify that the actual R1 zone objective in this area is designed to support a variety of housing types and densities. And we do know that we do have a housing crisis. So where there is the opportunity on larger lots to have a bit of flexibility with the dual occupancy concept, I think that's something that council needs to really look at and endorse where it makes sense. And being a corner block, even with a dual occupancy subdivision, it will result in an average allotment size well in excess still of the minimum 450 metres squared. So that's something to note. And also that there are existing dual occupancies or subdivision developments that have been approved in this particular area. So happy that the councillors, the officers have done their due diligence and happy to support this recommendation.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion as a division. All those in favour? Councillor Baker, Councillor Bullivan, Councillor Bukowski, Councillor Hudson, Councillor Mack, Councillor Glacken, Councillor Callaghan and Councillor King. The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.3, the draft Bilson Park Master Plan Public Exhibition. Councillor Bullivan.
Thank you, Mac. I move recommendation that Council A receives and endorses Bilson Park Master Plan. B, places the draft Bilson Park Master Plan on public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days, and C, if no submissions are received through the public exhibition process that purpose any further amendments, then the draft Bilson Park Master Plan will be adapted as the final version.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson.
You just second that, Mayor Mac?
Thank you. Councillor Bullivan, do you wish to open debate?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mac. Bilson Park, I can remember running around there as a kid and learning to ride my bike on the traffic signals we had down there. So our parks in Central Albury have been well used over the years, and this is just part of the master plans that the council has adapted over the years, or we're looking to adapt to get our user groups using and multi-purpose our facilities. It's a very busy precinct, that area, and there, Bilson Park, JC King Park, the skate park across the road. So we tend to see a lot of people there. And I look into the gallery tonight, I see user groups here come to see what the council's puts forward. It's about our people. It's about getting multi-purpose facilities in place for our residents. And I think looking at the proposed master plan, it's a good plan going forward. We require community feedback as with all master plans, but I think it's a great vision we've got put down by our staff.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Hudson. Does not appear to be any speakers for or against. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. My question through you to the most relevant member of staff. It's just in relation to the proposal in the master plan to add the additional sort of rectangular portion of the playing surface. I'm obviously revealing myself as not a sport playing person here, but my question really is that rectangle appears like it could be fully encompassed within the existing oval. And so why do we need to have it sort of off to the side?
Mr. Hooper, your question.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Mayor Mac. The intention to offset that rectangle is to preserve the cricket wicket. So with our master plan, we want to maximise that playing surface so that other user groups can use it as overflow training space. If we centralise that rectangular on the oval, we then we then run into conflict between the cricket club and potentially the rugby clubs that are adjacent that might use that facility. So by doing that, we maximise our playing surface. We identify that we've got the room there to do so. So that's the thinking behind that.
Follow up?
Yes, thank you. Just to follow up, the cricket pitch still is within that rectangle though. So is the issue around conflict of users using it at the same time, or is it the playing surface being impacted?
Yeah,
Mr. Hooper.
thanks for the question, and through you, Mayor Mac. So the intention that it would be a training space. So the rectangle that's showing on the plan is a testing to show that we can fit the rugby field within that space. However, we will concentrate our training space away from the cricket wicket, and that's the intention there by pushing it out.
Comfortable?
Yep.
Yeah. Speaker 4, Councillor King.
I think a lot of people in our community, particularly I'm sure the Albury Cricket Club, would say it's perhaps well overdue. We certainly know that the amenities and infrastructure there built during the 80s really are approaching their end of useful life, as anyone who's perhaps visited those facilities would attest to that. Also noting that the master plan really does guide it for future use, and that it really is dependent on funding being secured for those most important projects, because I do know our community is paying a lot of attention to our financial sustainability and potential cuts to budgets. So just reassuring our community that it's an overall plan as funding opportunities arrive, now that we'll potentially have the plan after it goes out on draft and is endorsed, that then allows us to do the most essential pieces of the master plan as we go along. So happy to support, which is in its draft form, for community public exhibition.
Thanks, Councillor King. Speaker, Councillor Fawkes. Speaker, Councillor Glacken. No speakers against.
Thank you for the opportunity. I do apologise. The link fell out for a little bit, so I hope I'm not recovering anyone else's ground. The toilet and amenities are important. There's more than one set. It's important to note that we need dedicated facilities for the sports users, but we also need facilities for public and general use, and that is incredibly important. The number of accessible toilets around our community is important because we need to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity and access to good, reliable and clean facilities. It is also important that we have a plan to enable us to attract funding to assist with the development of the components within that plan. And I think Councillor King was referring to the fact that we won't be undertaking all of the works in one go. It's a matter of determining which ones are more critical than others and bringing those forward. But it's also about having the plan ready so that when there are opportunities for us to apply for funding, we can do so. It's also very important that we increase the usage of our facilities for a greater and wider use of sporting groups. And so the reconfiguration of the main oval to ensure that we can use it for other sporting groups, not just for cricket. However, that's traditionally what was the main sport played in this area. It is important that we can use it for other sporting groups as well. And so the reconfiguration enables that to happen. A very clever reconfiguration, might I add. And there's also been the inclusion of the increased parking opportunities in that area with a view to being able to better find parking around that area, increase the number of parking spaces as well. So I support us to putting this out for community consultation as a draft plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. We have another speaker for, no speakers against or questions. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Yes, I do speak in support of this going out on community exhibition. I think it's a very good plan, but I would like the community to scrutinise it and make their voices heard on this. And we've obviously had some stakeholder engagement, and I note that there was a lot of support for improving connectivity between Bilson Park and JC King and the skate park, which I think makes an awful lot of sense because they're all very heavily utilized areas, and David Street is a very busy road, but it's a very fast road through that section. But I think in order to maximize the utility of the whole area, it would be really good to see some really good pedestrian connectivity there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what the community have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hudson. I have a question from Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. My question's much along the lines of what Councillor Hudson just said about pedestrian access, and I'm very hopeful we'll hear from the public with their views on how people should cross that busy street. I think it could be a flaw in the plan, and we need a better way of getting the pedestrians across without stopping all traffic. So I'll be interested in the feedback. I don't know if really that was a question or a comment, but yeah.
We're going to ask
you.
Mr. Hooper about his view on that particular three options to cross a very busy road. Mr. Hooper?
Yep, thank you for the question, and through you, Mayor Mac. I appreciate the complexity surrounding David Street through there. As the fellow councillors have mentioned, this is a strategic document that sets a vision for the precinct and the plan, a visionary document, and it identifies a need to address those crossings. I think 69% of the feedback through the initial engagement stated that there was a strong need for a stronger connection across that road. There is 4 lanes of traffic. It does come with some complexities, and we've identified the best placed crossing points. However, that's subject to further studies and traffic studies of how they would actually work. This document just provides the vision that this needs to be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you. There appears to be no further speakers for or against. Question from Councillor Glacken. Councillor Glacken?
Just further highlighting the questions and information about the crossings. I know that there are the 3 as raised by Councillor Baker. If we're going to discuss this or question this further, my question is with reference to 12C and 12B. My understanding is that there would be a loss of parking spaces either side of that development or those proposals, noting that parking is along that section only on the western side of the road from memory. However, there would be a loss of parking spaces along there. And can the staff, so that's my first question. My second question is, can the staff confirm if B and C are actually safe crossing places, noting the curve in the road in both directions for B, and is the safety enhanced by having a straighter section on one approach to C than B?
Mr. Hooper, two questions.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mac. On site, if we talk to 12B first, giving the connection through to this is looked at both sides of the park as to where those connections should be. If we look across at JC King and the skate park, that is the best place for that connection to occur. We are mindful of sight lines there. There is some elevation there, which gives you that height and sense of approach that's coming from the centre of town. 12C also, again, with this one, the consultants were out on site and they made that determination that in that lower section of the precinct, that would be the most suitable place for the crossing.
Councillor Glacken, does that answer 2 questions?
Yes, it does. However, it'll be interesting to see what the community say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Hooper. Just to finish up speaking for this particular motion, I think it's important, as Councillor King mentioned that this master plan is for discussion by the community and feedback from the user groups. But more importantly, I still maintain that as a council, we need to look at consolidation of our assets to try and get the best bang for our buck, and certainly get the best bang for the sporting groups that are involved. Because if we half do work and half do jobs, then the clubs involved don't get the outcome they desire. But Bilson Park essentially has been a subject of many discussions over the journey, and I know the toilet block there was a very strong issue for Councillor King's namesake, Councillor Murray King, many moons ago, about the condition of the toilet block and the amenity and the type of behaviour that it attracted during late hours in the evening, and certainly, and the poorly lit nature of that precinct. So, look, I support this master plan because it does bring a fresh and more invigorated approach to multi-sports fields, but also it is a staged development. And certainly, if you look at the $2.6 million that was spent at Sarvis Park, which is due for opening on the 18th of June, it was partially contributions at nearly $1 million from the federal and state government, but more importantly, Albury Thunder Juniors contributed $50,000 to that development. It provides a great facility now that has better toilets, better amenity, and certainly sets it off and makes it really safer and more available for our younger kids to ply their trade on field of all genders. So, look, I see this as an opportunity and a future opportunity for the sporting organisations that would potentially use that field. And I think, again, we can't take it for granted that we need to find the funding before we can do the work. And I can see a staged opportunity with those toilets being a public amenity and so on and so forth. So, look, looking forward to the feedback. I know I got feedback already from the CEO of Albury Cricket. If anyone else didn't get it, I did. And certainly he's prepared to provide me with participation rates of cricket in Albury Wodonga, and he's very proud of his track record, which we're all proud of, Mr. Ertlejack. But eventually, if he kicks in a bit of money, we might be prouder of that particular achievement. So happy to hear from him. Councillor Bulvin, did you wish to close your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mac. Just reflecting on all our councillors spoke well of this proposed master plan tonight. But what I will do is implore our user groups to give us the feedback that we require to get a master plan up and look at getting potential funding for these projects that we want to get done in the city. So give us the feedback. We'll get it up if we can get it up, and go from there. But your feedback is most important, please.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.4, the draft council expense and facilities policy 2025 public exhibition, councillors. Thank you. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Through you, to move the recommendation that council approve the draft council expenses and facilities policy 2025 for public exhibition for 28 days, and B, if no submissions seeking amendments are received, the policy be endorsed and the 2022 council expenses and facility policy be rescinded. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, did you wish to open debate? Thanks.
Happy to reserve my right of reply should there be anyone wishing to speak against.
There appears to be no questions or speakers against. Councillor Glacken, did you wish to reply?
Thank you. It's an administrative and functional matter, so happy with the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.5, the draft acquisition and disposal land policy 2025 public exhibition submissions. Thank you, councillors. Anyone? Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'd like to move the recommendation that Council A note the submissions received during public exhibition and final amendments to the draft acquisition and disposal of land policy 2025, and B, adopt the draft acquisition and disposal of land policy 2025 and include it in Albury City's policy register. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivan.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to open debate?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Any speakers for or against or questions? No. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to close debate?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.6 draft leasing and licensing of council property policy 2025 public exhibition submissions. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bukowski.
I move the recommendation that Council A note the submissions received during public exhibition and final amendments to the draft leasing and licensing of council property policy 2025, and B, adopt the draft leasing and licensing of council property policy 2025 and include it in Albury City's policy register.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you.
There appears to be no further debate or questions. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.7, the precinct speed zone reviews, results of stakeholder engagement. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move that Council A receive and note the report, and B, submit all survey information to Transport for New South Wales and request that they review the posted speed limits in the areas identified in line with the New South Wales speed zoning principles.
Thank you. Seconded, thanks. Councillor Baker.
Happy to second the motion, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to open debate on that item?
I'll reserve my right of reply. Thank you, Mayor Mac.
There appears to be no speakers for or questions. Did you wish to give a reply now? Let's close debate, Councillor Hudson. Councillor King, are you speaking against? Yep.
Speak against the motion. I'm just nervous that item B may, given it says submit all survey information and request that they review the posted speed limits in the areas identified. There are a lot of areas identified in the survey. I'm just nervous that item B is requesting that all speed zone limits that were surveyed are reviewed, noting that there was a significant number of respondents that wanted to maintain existing speed limits, noting there were also some that wanted to reduce them. So I was more in line of suggesting that only those that really were getting behind a reduction or a change to the speed limit should be included. So that's where I object to the wording of this motion as it exists. But one thing I will note that one thing that really came through compared to the original motion that was brought before us last year was that one of the biggest cohort that did respond, 85% of them wanted to maintain the 80k speed limit on the Riverina Highway rather than the 60k that was proposed in the original motion. So certainly noting that was certainly something that they were very keen to maintain. So noting that. So that's, I guess, the reason why I object to this in its current form with B as it sits.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Callaghan, a speaker against. Thanks, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I was proposing an amendment, Mayor Mac.
Yeah, your amendment.
It would be just A, receive and note the report and submit all survey information to Transport for New South Wales, full stop. Given that, you could do that first and then I'll speak to it.
Yeah, look, just check with Councillor Hudson and Councillor Baker. Are you comfortable to accept that amendment, Councillor Hudson?
Look, I think that Transport for New South Wales should review the speed limits, particularly in our CBDs. But I don't think they're going to do that anyway, frankly, because they only react. They don't do things proactively. So in that sense, yes, I'm happy to accept it as an amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Yourself.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. No, I'm not happy to change that. I think it's a good thing to, actually, I won't speak on it at the moment, but no, if there's an amendment, let's discuss it and vote on it and then go from there.
No problem. I need a seconder for your amendment then, Councillor Callaghan. Have a seconder? Councillor King.
You to second the amendment?
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to open debate on your amendment? Thanks. Have we got it yet?
Yep. Am I on?
You can start.
Okay. essentially take on board what Councillor Bukowski said earlier from the Transport or Traffic Committee, which was that Transport for New South Wales will take on the information, but are unlikely to do anything with it. I think it takes out the ambiguity of we expect them to do the review. It would be great if they did, but just like Councillor Hudson said, they are quite reactive, not proactive, and therefore we're providing with the information and not putting additional pressure on them to do something that they're probably unlikely to do anyway, but they will still receive the information and be able to make an assessment based on our community feedback. It's my understanding that Transport for New South Wales would do their own consultation as well. So that's why I've just made that amendment to support those reasons highlighted earlier this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. The speaker against, Councillor Baker, then a speaker for.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'm really only speaking against this because to me, B says put it in the bin. And I don't think it should go in the bin. I'd like that request to go through. It's not asking them to reduce speed limits. It's asking to review them. And I think that information would be of benefit to the community. So I'm not going to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for the amendment is Councillor King, and another speaker, two speakers against.
I speak in support of this amendment. When I look at those that had a view, that participated in that, I'm really not seeing an overwhelming appetite from our community to dive into a speed zone review. Yes, there were certainly some specific streets that did seem to be mentioned, and hopefully if the survey is given to Transport for New South Wales, they can see for themselves those 5 or 6 trouble spots, I guess, that our community have responded to. But even in saying that, there weren't really a lot of people, from my mind, with an overwhelming desire to do a deep dive into a major speed zone review of all our streets. So I'm very comfortable where this is at, and if the information goes to the right people and they can see those key elements, it would be up to them to do a review. No doubt, taking notice of their own data. Where's the data? Where's the evidence? And where are the reasons to look to do a speed zone review? So you would like to think that they've got the collision data, infringement notices and things of that nature that can help with them. I certainly haven't been privy to all this information in terms of our major desire to make sweeping changes, noting that there was certainly some concerns by some members in our community for specific streets. So I'm comfortable with the motion that is before us here.
Thank you, Councillor King. Speaker against, Councillor Glacken, then Councillor Hudson against. We have no speakers for at this point. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Yes, I speak against this amendment, although I do support it in a way. I would prefer us just to have receive and note the report. This amendment is better than the original motion because of the reasons expressed by Councillor Callaghan. I agree with Councillor Callaghan for the reasons that she's put this amendment up. However, I speak against us submitting the information to Transport for New South Wales because, similar to Councillor King, I do not believe that our community is really asking us to reduce speed limits. And I note in the report from the staff that speed limits, or the staff claim that lowering speed limits will not necessarily make journeys longer. This was put forward by community in the feedback that they provided, and staff didn't agree with that. The community said that reducing the speed limit will cause frustration, potentially increase accidents. Again, staff didn't agree with that. I think the staff are wrong. The reductions in speed limits, they do explain then, on to explain if a 5 kilometre journey at 60 kilometres an hour will take 5 minutes, and it will take an additional minute if at 50 kilometres an hour. The lower speeds would apparently reduce dependence on cars in the CBD. I can't believe that that is the case. Lower speed limits won't reduce dependence. People will just have to drive more slowly and it will take longer, and perhaps they will become frustrated. I wondered why it was in the middle of page 101, the paragraph starts with, although 54% of respondents in this for the Albury CBD stated that the area should be retained at 50 kilometres per hour, commentary was, and I quote, divisive. I'm not really sure if it was divisive or divided, but clearly the majority of the respondents indicated that they didn't want the CBD speeds to be reduced. I cannot support this motion. Sorry, Councillor Callaghan, better than the original motion as it may be. I do not believe that our community are really asking us to reduce the speed limits. We are a community that is reliant on cars. We're reliant on cars because we need to get around. That is the reality of our situation. I do not believe that our community want to reduce speed limits, and they don't either want to reduce the number of lanes in our existing roadways, which is another suggestion that our staff often make to us. So therefore, I cannot support this motion. It is better, and I clarify, it is better than the original motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. No speakers for. I have a speaker against the amendment. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I do speak against the amended motion. I think Councillor Baker made some very good points, and as a consequence, I won't be supporting this amendment. I must also, though, speak against Councillor Glacken. The staff are not wrong. The staff are very correct in all of their assessments around this, particularly safety. And the only reason we're so reliant on cars is because that's the way our city has been built up until this point, not because we need to get around. Everybody needs to get around, no matter where you live in the world. We are incredibly reliant on cars because that's the way our city has been built. And that's a conscious decision that we continue to make. So I speak against this motion, but I speak and I will support the original motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Any further questions or debate? I'll have one last go at this in relation to the amendment. I do speak against the amendment primarily because the intent of the amendment or intent of the report is to review and take stakeholder engagement. If we do nothing with that engagement, whilst it's over 300 out of 54,000 people, there's 300 people, one life matters, and I think essentially the process that is adopted here, as stated by Councillor King before, is not as simple as it appears. And if you look at the New South Wales, Transport New South Wales website, we engage the community in the speed zoning process to ensure their views are considered in speed zone management. Tick. Speed zone settings consider the types of vehicles and road users using the road, degree to which different road users face potential risks, and nature and standard of the road and infrastructure and its surrounding environment. Speed zones are reviewed regularly to ensure they align with evolving safety standards and community needs. Transport for New South Wales uses data-driven approaches and expert assessments to make evidence-based decisions about speed limits. I think that summarises why we should ask them to review and actually understand that our community have asked the question, and they've asked that question, and why would we go out with a report if we're not going to provide a doing outcome on this particular report? So I don't support the amendment. I do support the original motion. Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Did you wish to close debate on your amendment?
Apologies that the bar wouldn't come up. I truly appreciate the work that's done by staff and also the feedback from community. This is a really informative document for Transport for New South Wales. Whilst I'd like to think that we can request that they review it, I don't know if they will. It is certainly not intended for the bin. This will still remain an advocacy document, and I actually truly look forward to seeing the review timeline from Transport for New South Wales. My experience is that they will take this on board. They've said it to us in the meeting already, that they will look at the document, but they may not act on it. And that's why I've changed that motion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Callahan. Happy to put your amendment. Those in favour? Those against? The amendment is lost. We revert back to the original motion. Thank you. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to close debate on that?
I will. Thank you, Mayor Mack. Look, I'm very happy to support this recommendation. As Councillor Mack already indicated, the community members have taken their time to give us their views on this. So it's now incumbent on us to do with that information what we said we would, which is give it to New South Wales for them to do a speed zone review. And I'll just take the opportunity to speak a little bit about speeds, because honestly, this is really a discussion about safety, actually, more than anything. I believe that our streets should be safe and welcoming and accessible to everybody who uses them, not just people who are behind the wheel of a car. And right now in Albury and Lavington, we have many streets where actually the convenience of drivers is routinely put ahead of the safety of other road users because of those speeds. As the report points out, we've inherited streets which are essentially designed as highways when, well, now we have an internal bypass, and yet the speeds in those streets have not been reviewed in that time. So I think it's very appropriate that they do be reviewed. As I already said, I don't think Transport for New South Wales are going to do it because they have a very reactive approach to things. I mean, I think that our community members in Tabletop know that full well with their discussions around Burma Road and Tynan Road, where they've said, we're not going to do anything until somebody dies, basically. So, but that's really not the point, though. We've collected this data from the community, and so we should pass it on. And the safety impacts of reduced speeds are incredibly clear. I mean, driving, as the report says, driving 5 kilometres at 50 kilometres per hour takes 5 minutes. Driving that same distance at 40 kilometres per hour takes 7.5 minutes. Yes, that's an increase of 1.5 minutes, but the survival rate of a pedestrian being struck by a car at 40 versus at 50 is hugely different. And certainly as a nurse, I mean, I don't think I could look a patient who'd been in a serious motor vehicle accident in the eye if I hadn't done what I felt I could as a counsellor to make our streets safer. And so regardless of this, I'll continue to advocate in this space. But there's a number of other reasons with which we should look at reducing speeds as well. For example, noise pollution and air pollution. And before anybody says, oh, here's a greenie talking about pollution. I mean, electric vehicles are the same loudness as a petrol vehicle above 50 kilometers per hour, because the predominant driver of that noise is the rolling resistance of the tires on the roads. So, it would make our city quieter and a much more pleasant place to be, particularly within our CBDs. If we want to encourage pedestrians and cyclists, then we have to prioritise them, and that necessitates deprioritising vehicle travel to an extent, although not as much as probably Councillor Glacken might indicate. So, look, ultimately, I think we should be reducing speeds in our cities, particularly in those areas where we do want to encourage pedestrians to be like our CBDs, because frankly, there are a lot of people who are not in cars in our cities, and we need to consider them in this. So thank you. I'll end there.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Have to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.8 Local Government Remuneration Tribunal 2025 Annual Report and Determination. Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Councillor Bilman.
I move the recommendation that Council A receives and notes reports on council and mayoral fees for 2025/2026. B, fixes the annual fee payable for each councillor at $27,860 for the 2025-2026 financial year, pursuant with Section 248 of the Local Government Act 1993, New South Wales, and in accordance with the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal's 2025 Annual Report and Determination. C, fixes the annual fee payable to the Mayor in addition to the fee payable under Section 248 at $68,000 for the 2025-2026 financial year, pursuant with Section 249 of the Local Government Act 1993, New South Wales, and in accordance with the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal's 2025 Annual Report and Determination. And D, fixes the annual fee payable to each Audit Risk Improvement Committee independent member of $5,747 and an additional $2,235 for the chair of the 2025-2026 financial year pursuant to Section 249 of the Local Government Act 1993 New South Wales and in accordance with the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal's 2025 annual report and determination.
Well done. Councillor Bukowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Councillor Bullman, you got your breath back? Did you wish to open debate on this item?
No, I think it's I don't think you Mayor Mac, but it's a government, local government pursuant tool that we abide by. So it's part of the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any speakers for or against on this item? No questions? Councillor Baker speaking against. I have a speaker for. Councillor King.
Only speaking for, only that this comes up from time to time, and that's why we have the independent arbitrator. So in terms of the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal's report and determination, I know it's uncomfortable having pay or discussions of that nature come before councillors when they're the beneficiaries potentially of it, obviously. But just noting that it has been historically the view of the councillor group has been explained to me over the journey that just accepting the recommendation by the independent arbiter would be best practice as something to consider from councillors.
Thank you. I have a speaker against. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'm only going to venture forth with the opposing view. I will probably support the recommendation anyway, but just in a time of fiscal responsibility, it does grate a bit to give ourselves a pay rise, but I understand the reason and it's going forward. And I do suggest the councillor and the mayor well and truly earn what they get with the time they put in. So I will support it, but I just wanted to say it's a hard time to be putting your hand up and supporting this when things are quite tight at council. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Any other speakers for or questions or against? Anyone? No? Okay. Councillor Bullman, do you wish to close debate?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Also reports for noting 14.1 ending period poverty in Albury. Councillor Callaghan.
I'd like to move the recommendation that council receive and note the year 1 review of the Share the Dignity vending machine pilots. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
You second that, Mayor Mac?
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to speak to that?
No, I'll reserve my right of reply. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for, two speakers for. Councillor Bukowski, first speaker.
Yes, thank you. Just briefly, I think it's important to note that these kinds of initiatives make a real difference for women and girls in our community. They provide not only access to essentials, but also have the ability to restore dignity, choice, and privacy in moments that can be quite distressing and also embarrassing. So it's encouraging to see our council take the lead in addressing period poverty in such a respectful and practical way. So I just wanted to thank staff for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bukowski. Councillor King speaking for, no speakers against.
Very much in support of the motion and was very supportive and thanked previous councillor Ashley Edwards for coming up with the idea and alerting councillors to the Share the Dignity program. And it is, unfortunately, it does look, when you compare the Albury local government area statistics with the national statistics, we are above the national average when it comes to key areas of finding it difficult to afford period products, missing work because of their period, and missing school because of their period. So it certainly has highlighted a need, and also wanting to recognise that while our council funded machines are at our community centres. There are issues with accessibility. It's certainly been mentioned for school students outside of the hours of operations, which can be from 9 till 3, but certainly want to draw attention to the fact that the one that is installed as part of our sponsorship at Albury City's Retro Lane Youth Cafe, which has sponsorship, it is absolutely doing an amazing job, and it's estimated that 60 packs per month are dispensed from that unit alone when compared to the Albury City ones amongst our community centres. They are 60 packs across the 5. So it certainly shows that that ability to have a venue like a Retro Cafe that is open for longer hours, plus on a Saturday, for example, seems to be having a great result. So just wanted to highlight that and thank new councillors for also being very proactive in supporting this initiative.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Hudson speaking for, no speakers against.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I think this is a wonderful initiative, and I do thank previous councillor Ashley Edwards for driving this in the previous term. I think there's been a little bit of discussion that it doesn't seem like a lot of packs are being used, but frankly, every single time, every one of those 60 or more times that it is used, that's allowed someone experiencing a period to maintain their dignity and carry on with their days. And I think that that's really quite invaluable. Nobody would question whether council provided toilet paper in its public toilets. So I think there's no reason why we shouldn't continue on with this. And so I look forward to seeing how it progresses over the next few years.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. There appears to be no question or speakers against. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to close debate?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mack. I do want to acknowledge the success of the Share the Dignity trial and the very real impact that it's having on our community, as highlighted by the other councillors this evening. And as stated by Councillor King, around 60 packs of period products have been accessed each month, and it's clear that our community has a real need for this. The strong uptake, especially in Mirrabina and Glen Echo, show that placing these machines in accessible community spaces really works. And I really do take on board the out of hours access is really important as well. So the feedback from the community members calling for the program, that it is discreet, that it's empowering and life-changing, really highlights the success in removing shame around what women are experiencing. So while resourcing limits expansion for now, the trial is a compelling step forward in supporting women and families and the basics that they need and deserve. So I hope we can continue to explore how we build on this great work in the future in budgetary planning cycles. And as mentioned again earlier, previous councillor Ash Edwards would be heartened by the report, noting that it was her motion that led to the implementation of this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Delegates' reports for noting we have none. Not been made aware of any notice of urgent business. Anyone? No? Okay. Okay, we have a confidential matters in relation to 2 items. So councillors, can I have someone to move us into confidential? Thanks. Councillor Bukowski. There you go, the recommendation.
Don't we have to
You can move the recommendation while they're clearing the room, yeah.
Okay, I move the recommendation that council move into confidential to discuss items CM 17.1 and CM 17.2, as these are confidential items exclusive of press or public on the grounds that 2, the matters are information. Are the following: A, personnel matters concerning particular individuals other than councillors. C, information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. D, commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, I prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it, pursuant to Local Government Act 1993, number 30, section 10A2 ACDI.
Thank you, Councillor Bukowski. Seconded, thanks. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. I need to ask if anyone's in the chamber that wishes to say, while we can't make any statements or submissions from the public regarding the reasons as identified for the confidential items 17.1 and 17.2. There are no submissions. I'm happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. We will now go into confidential. Thank you, councillors. I need a move